In the fourth quarter, I mean, they hit some tough contested threes, but at the same time, how much of that was a product of a couple missed closeouts and miscommunication in the first half that allowed them to kind of get comfortable and get in a rhythm?
Yeah, I think in the first half I felt like we didn't get off to a good start offensively, but I thought our defense really kind of kept us in the game in that first half, and clearly they didn't shoot it as well. We kind of got off to a fairly decent start. I think they called timeout. The lead was 5 at the half. I think we were up by 7. And that's what happens sometimes. We get off some bodies. Gave them, whether it was rotations or just a little bit late, closeouts not as hard as they needed to be. And sometimes when you let a team make a few shots, what happens is everything, then becomes, the basket becomes a lot bigger. And, obviously they shot an incredible percentage in the second half. Some of them were highly contested, very, very difficult challenge stuff. But you also have to look at that early part of the third quarter when they started to make a few, that they found a rhythm. And generally when that happens, guys at this level, it doesn't make a difference. And certainly we could not trap everybody in the game. But, I don't know what it was, 20 for 24 or something in the second half. And I think some of it started in the third quarter where we didn't have, we were really aggressive, I thought, closing and guarding the ball there in that first half. And we just in the third, let it get away. And then all of a sudden, I thought, to your point, we competed. I mean, I contested hard, but didn't make a difference.
In general, Billy, you guys give up more threes just on temp-wise than any team in the league. And obviously they hit a bunch today, but just in general, what is the philosophy there for you guys in terms of like what are you taking away that you're sort of sacrificing that?
Yeah. So I mean, this goes back when Lonzo and Alex went out. Our defense was like top 10. I don't know exactly where it was. And those guys were great and elite at really taking care of the ball at the point of screens. And it really enabled Vooch in a lot of ways to kind of be back a little bit, protect the rim. With those two guys going out and then Lonzo being out and Alex having some injuries, our defense just completely plummeted. So I think last offseason we had to really look at, the threes. But I think if you look at the best defensive teams in the league, I think Miami's up there, Oklahoma City, I'm not sure who the other one, they all give up a lot of threes. Not all threes are created equally. The problem for us is it's the paint protection, because that's where there's more problems, where it's at the rim, it's fouls, and it's corner threes. Those 3 shots are probably the most valued shots. Now, there's a ton of threes going up, but the ones above the break contested is a pretty drastic drop-off. So for us defensively, it's always been we got to guard the paint first, because even if you spread yourself out and try to take away threes, you're really not going to take them away unless you just want to give them a layup, because someone's going to pull over, you're going to be in rotation, it's going to get sprayed out. So for us, it's always been about protecting the paint first and trying to play defense with 5. But we've got to give, someone like, we can't have Vooch back there in a drop. It's too tough, and Andre gives you some flexibility in terms of his athleticism at the point of screen and his shot blocking. But for us, we've tried to protect those guys, and it's got to be not only our bigs, but it's got to be everybody working together.
Well, you talked about consistency so much, not just this year, but the last couple seasons. Defensively, when you come from a strong defensive performance like against Indiana, then you come in and have a game like this today, what can you learn from that? I mean, what is feeling different in terms of how high and those guys' lows are getting?
Yeah, I don't want to, I hate after a game emotionally jumping to conclusions without watching the tape. I'm just going off of some possessions I know in my mind of things that happened, right? I just really believe that you're always fighting for more consistency, and you want to be more consistent and better and more consistent. And, that's why I really want to see. I think I mentioned to Joe there in that third quarter, I thought them coming out of the timeout, I think they made a 3 coming out of that timeout. And then I want to see what a couple other ones look like, because I do think that we worked to contest and to get out there, but it was too late. So I think you're always fighting for the consistency part. Every team, it's not just us. That's because what happens is the later you get into the year, every possession becomes incredibly important. And you can't, give away 2, 3, 4 minutes if you're fortunate enough playing in the postseason, because that can cost you a game. So that's what you're kind of fighting for. I don't want to say like, hey, listen, these guys were just totally inconsistent, but I do think there was clearly breakdowns. I'm not going to, dismiss that. But how and why it happened, I think I want to watch the tape a little more to give you maybe a little bit of a sounder answer.